awesome panel lineup. I'm not going to go through intros. I know we're all going to talk about what they're doing. I think, if I were to open this, like there have been so many announcements and so many conversations here today about like the real adoption happening on Algorand, whether it's in the gaming space, the supply chain space, national initiatives, projects. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure everyone has seen by now, like, Matt Zhang was a top veteran at Citibank, is leaving that and is doing a $1.5 billion fund and is really focused on the Algorand ecosystem. He's bringing with him Sam Purefoy, who has done amazing things in the gaming space to disrupt the play to earn space. We've got Unlocks that announced all those marketplaces and bringing, millions of customers really for a variety of corporations, organizations, bringing them on chain. They might not know that they're interacting with their blockchain, but it's millions of dollars of value coming on chain. It's millions of users. And I think just, all of these things that we're seeing, the mayor opening, I just want to point out really quickly, I'm sitting here on stage with Norberto, who is from Accenture, which is one of the largest IT and consulting companies in the world. They've got 600,000 employees. And what Norberto is going to talk about is disrupting essentially a $3 trillion agro market in Latin America, all on blockchains. Let's just think about that for a second. Patrick, trying to disrupt unstoppable domains and a few other things. We're going to talk about what you've announced today, which is fascinating. Leo, here in the middle, is working with several Latin American countries, everyone from El Salvador to Colombia to Peru and beyond. And then Fergal is basically building the next amazing DEX. And I think what we're seeing here, like with all these things that are happening over the past couple months, weeks, and even today on Algorand and beyond, like we're at a tipping point of what adoption really means, and things are getting more serious. I think just a testament to the quality, your backgrounds and the quality of what you're doing is for sure there. And I think where I want to take this is that these people, you all have in common that you understand and see it from a high level and have made decisions on blockchain, but you're also all very hands-on. And I want to sort of take it from the top and like talk a little bit about, why you've made some of the decisions you've made, from modernizing your infrastructure on blockchain, on Algorand, all the way down to like what that has been like and what that hands-on experience has been. So Patrick, we'll kick it off with you because you're right here, front and center in the hot seat. Tell us about TxnLab and what was announced today.
So we announced NFTs, non-fungible domains. Which basically is, a lot of people have heard of ENS, Ethereum naming service, unstoppable domains. It's a kind of a naming service of sorts on the blockchain. NFTs are a take of basically a different, slight view on the domains within that space of having a unique, verifiable, 100% guaranteed name on Algorand. But also a take on NFTs. You have one of 500, it's one of one. That name is 100% guaranteed, unique, verifiable on Algorand.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting things we plan for it that'll get announced later.
Awesome.
But yeah, really excited about it.
And have you always been in the blockchain space? Is this a new move for you?
Oh yeah, I've been a developer for like 4 decades. I've worked for lots of large corporations, been public. I've been basically a systems engineer for many, many years, and got into Algorand maybe 2 years ago, and fell in love with its architecture and the consensus model, and just kind of went from there. And so I left my kind of corporate job October 1st, started a new company, and I'm going all in.
That's awesome. Great. Leo, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in South America.
Well, where Koibanx basically would like to speak about this concept that is blockchain payment rails. We basically tokenize assets, financial holdings, and we enable regulated institutions to offer these holdings to their end users as a means of payment. So we have people in different countries in Latin making day-to-day payments with invoices, commodities, trust, quotas, or even fiat currency being tokenized. When we start approaching different financial institutions and regulated institutions, or even governments with these solutions, basically that was the turning point for us to move to Algorand. Today we are working with over 15 banks across the region, at El Salvador in particular. 11 banks has the entire country. 6 of them are working with our platform on top of Algorand, Colombian national government, El Salvador national government. And the key advantage, I will say that we all agree here, there are a bunch of technical characteristics that makes Algorand a really robust protocol, scalability, speed. I'm not going to talk about that. Everyone here knows it, but you guys have managed to put something together that for these particular type of customers, they put a face to the protocol. They understand that you actually sit down with them, you understand their needs. We're at a point in blockchain evolution where these people, the decision makers, do not take the time maybe to understand all the technical benefits that they also are there, but they want to understand how they use it and what's the better use case. And Algorand exceeds at that level. I mean, it's not a bunch of guys that come in shorts and just present you what they're doing. They're really pros behind the tech.
I could have worn shorts today. No, I get what you're saying. That totally makes sense. And, I think, what's interesting, and I want to sort of give you each an opportunity to introduce yourselves and what you're doing, but also, like, I'm hearing this common theme so far about sort of how you can onboard all these users, right? There's all these people that may or may not know, again, back to my original point, like they may or not know they're interacting with the blockchain, but they're all like that modern infrastructure is going through this. Norberto, your perspective being at Accenture, give us a little bit of your background there and then share what Agro Token's doing.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a $3 trillion business, that's the agro business. So we are helping Agro Token to scale in the region. That's very important for the adoption. And what Leo mentioned scalability and speed. Security is also very important when you are working with a robust business as like the agro business that has a lot of years. So you need to be very compliant with the security as well. So that's our focus.
Okay. Is Agro Token the only Accenture business you're working with right now that has started doing blockchain or is doing an Algorand project?
No, Accenture worked with multiple blockchains. Particularly with Agro Token, we are working with Algorand, but we have other implementation, public and private implementations as well.
Got it. Okay, and Fergal, share the latest with Tinyman.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Tinyman is the decentralized exchange protocol on Algorand. And we've been on Algorand mainnet for the last 2 months or so. And so in that time, we've had about 2 million swaps. There's over 3,000 different pools on Tinyman. Over 140,000 accounts have interacted. And the most interesting thing to me actually is that the median value of the swaps on Tinyman is less than $20. So $20 is like a tiny fraction of the gas fees that you would pay on other networks to actually make a transaction. But the actual value of the transactions, the median amount is only $20. So that just shows how powerful this scalable system of Algorand is, that allows for these extremely low fees and allows for these low value swaps to take place. Now, obviously, there are much larger value swaps taking place too, and there's a significant amount of volume going through the system. But it also allows people to enter this DeFi ecosystem without paying very large transaction fees, which is a big game changer for DeFi.
Where do you guys see, I'd love anyone feel free to throw this out, we'll keep it casual. Where do you see, like, what do you think it looks like in 2 to 3 years in terms of how people interact with the blockchain? Because you're all seeing it from different perspectives, right? Like, you all bring a very unique perspective for how people are interacting with it, right? Fergal, people are a little more closer to it. With Agro Token, right? It's a large amount of money transactions and volume, but the end users, what does that look like, right? So where do you think general population engagement with blockchain looks in 2 years' time? You can take it to 5 years if you want to.
5 years, a lot of time. I think the hype will be much sooner than that. The agro business is still in the traditional business right now, more in a CEFI, and we're moving to DeFi. That will take away, and we are pushing with Agro Token and Algorand.
And just to back up and make sure, because the Agro Token is effectively, can you explain a little bit? I think it's a stable coin with
real collateral, with soybeans.
With soybeans.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's a large business in Latin America and Argentina specifically.
Yes, globally it's a large business. In Brazil as well. We are working together to go to Brazil right now.
And is that a cross-border thing?
Yes.
Is it farmers who's using the stablecoins?
Farmers and the rest of the marketplace that
Okay.
can use the token with the ecosystem.
Okay. Where do you think that project is in 2 years' time?
I think the plan is to go globally at that time in 2 years now. First Brazil with the rest of the world.
So soybeans as a commodity,
Yeah,
all on
not
chain.
only soybeans, but other beans also in the
All the beans.
Yeah.
All the beans on chain.
Let's start with soy. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. All right.
What would you say, Keli, if I told you that already in Latin America you have a little over 3 million people interacting not only with blockchain but with the Algorand blockchain?
I would believe you. Tell us more. Leo, what's going on in El Salvador? What's going through?
And this is has a lot to do with your question. Our view is that blockchain usage will become so ordinary, not in a bad way, but so common for us that people will use it without actually being aware that they are using it. And that's one of the cases that we've seen. It worked very good in Colombia, in El Salvador, and in Peru, where we channel the blockchain benefits, in this case, creating wallets for each citizen when they interact with a national service. Like, you want to get your COVID certificate because you vaccinated yourself. Okay, we're going to build that in a transparent infrastructure that it's able to be verified by any other country in the world that wants to get sure that you're vaccinated before getting across the borders. But people don't know that that's a blockchain certificate.
That's right, right? I mean, and there's more and more of this. You saw, the Unlocks team, the next team. I don't know if anyone's in the room. They have the ambitions. One of the things they were talking about this morning with their announced was like a buy now, pay later, right? So you have a whole company that has a buy now, pay later option, right? And imagine that company existing in the traditional world as it does right now, and just take that off and make it all blockchain based. They may not ever know that it's blockchain based, but it's all modern infrastructure that's flowing through that, right? It's the same idea, Leo,
That's
right?
what will happen in 5 years. Many
Yeah.
people will be using blockchain without knowing they're using blockchain. That's the future.
Traditional channels offering these financial products in a way that is seamless for people to actually get the benefit of using this infrastructure, but without having the need to actually understand how it works. Of course, educating, that's always desired, right? But it's not a hard requirement for them to actually get the benefits of what they're using.
Right. And then Patrick, does GoDaddy even exist in 5 years?
It's complicated, right? I mean,
It's complicated.
The internet is based on these protocols that have been around for decades,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of those aren't changing, and they're still in use today. And emails still sent with 30-year-old protocols,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of these things that are, I think, far in the future.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of aspects of what we're working on that can tie into some of kind of what they're even talking about,
Yeah.
right? A lot of this you want it to be more transparent to the normal user. And when you have simple abstractions like a name instead of a 58 character base 32 address,
Yep.
right? And as soon as you have that abstraction and you have it on sending and receiving side with additional information that you can associate with it, you can potentially do some pretty interesting things.
Ball game, right?
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
And Fergal, make sure you're speaking up so we can all hear you. I think you're seeing this from a different perspective, right? And so where you're seeing a whole bunch of different users across Tinyman. Where do you see the growth of Tinyman in 1 to 5? I don't think Tinyman's going to be a totally different ballgame in 2 years. But where is even 6 months, 12 months, 18 months look for you?
So we always see Tinyman as a protocol, and it's a protocol that enables the exchange of assets on Algorand. And so this protocol that we have implemented now, this will continue to exist for the lifetime of Algorand, which hopefully is for basically forever into the future. But there will be updated versions of this protocol, which will be more efficient in the terms of the use of liquidity. And this will power all sorts of different DeFi products in the ecosystem. So just like the others on the panel were saying, the users may not be aware that they're using Algorand. In our case, the users won't be aware that they're using Tinyman or Algorand, but it will be powering something that is extremely beneficial to them. Now, of course, there will always be the power users who are interested in trading the latest assets. And we have no idea what those assets will represent in 5 years' time.
Will I be selling my soybeans to purchase Kelly.com to get launch my shop?
I think
you may well be.
I think like Kelly that algo, Kelly.
That's fair.
You don't need to
All right,
sell
good
them.
thing.
You can get a loan with that.
Oh,
And use
see,
it as a
we're getting even
collateral for
better,
DeFi.
'cause it's someone, yeah, someone's now buying that, so they're going to charge me $1 million for it. The other thing I want to get into, because I'm aware of the fact we only have 10 minutes left, you all have been relatively hands-on in designing your systems and the infrastructure. Now we're starting to go like layers into which I don't understand a lot, but I want you to like give a little bit of, I think it's good for people to understand the experience, good, bad, and ugly of building on Algorand, right? And it's not, we all know the attributes, right? Like you said, Leo, we all know why we're here, but like, tell me about the experience of building on Algorand, connecting to different pieces of the ecosystem. Patrick, you've been around for a while, like how those growth and the component pieces that you need to make all that magic happen. Like, start with your perspective, because you've been here.
I mean, yeah, it's because I was with early in the growth of Algorand, helping out in Discord, and a lot of times I was the one guy kind of helping people out. And the difference then to now is just night and day across the board in terms of the information available, the help available. There's so many more people involved in the ecosystem. There's still pain points, but it's way better than it was, and it's just continuing to improve at a really rapid rate. I think there's aspects of Algorand that are fantastic because of its smart contract architecture is designed very explicitly for efficiency and speed, and there are some costs to do that. But once you put that time into it, I think it's really worth it, because that enables you to have very low transaction fees with guaranteed transaction rate and finality that other chains just don't have. It's been fantastic. The developer relations team and the other people are online are super helpful.
Right.
Been really happy.
And Norberto, but how has the Accenture team like generally found sort of whether it's the developer community, the resources, the tooling, like building, all that stuff? Walk us through that.
Well, I was thinking about the growth and the particularities of Algorand, and Accenture is helping AgroToken to get scale in the product roadmap, and Algorand is helping us the technology also for the scalability. That's the main reason. Yeah. The other one is the security, the nodes, the random selection of the nodes. That's something very important in order to bring security for a business that is there far years ago. So we are kind of helping AgroToken from different sides, but the objective is the same, is to bring security at the same time, decentralization and scalability. Yeah. So kind of mixing on the same from different perspectives.
Yeah. And Leo, you've designed some interesting systems down there. I mean, like you've done, like this is the COVID passport in El Salvador. Is this where I ask you what's going on in El Salvador?
Yeah. Well, we've had the experience of working with other Solidity-based protocols.
Yeah.
And there are pros and cons, truth to be told. The first one, and maybe this is biased because our technical team came from a Solidity experience, is that it took us a couple of months to get the learning curve ahead of the learning curve and actually
to sort of migrate the thought process from Solidity to Algorand.
Exactly.
Still, yeah.
And the other thing that at a protocol level might have room for improvement in different areas is for transactional solutions that, like the ones we implement for financial institutions. There's a lot of money being held in escrow by these institutions, but time to time it needs to be transacted. Each transaction that triggers from those escrow wallets puts an end to the staking process in the Algorand protocol. So if you actually want to earn that stake, you need to leave that frozen and can't use it as a reserve account where time to time you get a transaction because your clock restarts. Those are the only two things out of this experience that maybe have some room for improvement that I can tell right now. Of course, the advantages, again, I'm not talking about the nodes because they're not there, but because I'm guessing everyone here knows about them.
Yeah, okay. Great. And then Fergal, you've effectively built Tinyman. Walk us through that.
So I've built one side of Tinyman, the contract side of things. There's a few other aspects of it, but yeah, I mostly work on the contract side on the back end. And so Tinyman was my introduction to Algorand, and Algorand was my introduction to blockchain, actually. So I didn't.
Where were you before this, Fergal?
So I was, and I still am, working with Hippo Labs. So we're like a product agency, and I'm a traditional backend engineer. I have been building products with Python and traditional things for the last 10 years or so. And so we worked with Algorand on a number of projects over the last few years, but we never dived into the smart contract side of things. We helped on other aspects of the product. But we decided we were going to build an AMM on Algorand. We thought it would be, well, Algorand needs one, and it could be something interesting to get into. So I didn't have to change my mind from thinking about Ethereum and Solidity to thinking how to do this in Algorand, but instead I had to come from this centralized background of thinking in terms of centralized databases and permissions and everything to this fully permissionless world, which was truly exciting. When we started, it was back in the days of Teal 2, actually. Teal 3 was coming up and had some exciting new features, and there was the developer portal, but it wasn't the new version of the developer portal. There was some information, but not all the information. PyTeal was still in its infancy in those days. So, and there were some really difficult restrictions on what you could do in Teal at the time. And so we spent a lot of time optimizing for space. We ended up having to use Teal instead of PyTeal just because we needed to save like literally 12 bytes over program space at one time. Like we had 1,000 bytes, we had used 988, and we needed to add one extra little check, which was going to be too many bytes. So then we had to re-optimize the code to make that fit in. Like really low level stuff, which you don't want to be thinking about when you're trying to build the financial systems of the future. So thankfully, all of those kind of things have gone away. So the Algorand team, as we knew they would, they have just delivered amazingly on improving the protocol over and over again. And so those restrictions are gone. They're it's much easier these days. PyTeal has improved a lot since then too, and the documentation is just fantastic. But the thing that has been constant since the start is just the support from Algorand Inc. in terms of the people there and providing support to us in terms of just guidance on how to build things, answering questions, and then the community. So I've just learned so much from the Algorand Discord community. There's constant, endless source of information. So that really helped the process. There are still some pain points in the development. Testing and debugging is definitely one of them. In the process of building Tinyman, we built some of our own tools around this, and we'd hope that we'll get some time at some point to actually kind of polish these off and open source them. And yeah, we'd like to see other projects doing the same, contributing these kind of core development tools, because they're really needed in the ecosystem.
Awesome. And Patrick, would you agree with anything you'd add on to that?
100%. I mean,
Okay.
I would say debugging is right now it's one of the biggest pain points.
Yeah.
PyTeal has improved a lot. Teal that is improved a lot, but debugging is painful. And I kind of grabbed Paul aside the other day and kind of said, you need to fix this.
I'm sure he's taking notes. That's great.
Can I
That's
just add a
fantastic.
quick aside? Fergal, you guys killed it on Tinyman. Your whole team.
I would agree with that. We got to
Love
give it up.
it.
Nice job, Fergal.
I mean, it was,
Thank you.
it was
Well, yeah, we should call out to the whole rest of the team behind Tinyman. I end up doing a lot of the public speaking for Tinyman, but there's a big team behind it at Hippo Labs, and there's just awesome work in the design, the front end, back end work, everything.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are close to time. I want to thank you all for being here.